Hello my friends and welcome. This is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go to the positive news which are coming from the front lines. It seems like Ukrainian offensive near to Sumy village is quite successful, so today Ukraine took more ground. The fight is ongoing in the area that was occupied since 2014, so I would call it really a success, because Russia was building the defense lines right at this particular spot, but it seems like Ukraine was able to penetrate the defense lines and successfully took the part of the nearby road. We also have the confirmation from the other source, so Ukraine has two of the attack vectors in this place, taking more territories each day, but you also see the Russian artillery strikes and the bombshells on this area, plus Russia uses the surveillance drones to spot our defenders. This area is not easy to go through. Let me show you the 3D map. So here we go, this is the exact location where Ukrainian army advances, and there are some artificial hills around. Basically it's the soil that was taken from the ground to build some mines in this particular spot. You can see there are lots of the hills around. From one side, this high ground gives Russians the opportunity to spot the Ukrainian forces without even using the drones, and it's more easy to defend this area for the Russian occupiers. However, as you see, Ukraine adjusted and moved, taking the part of the nearby hill. Also, the hill could be used to hide from the Russian artillery fire, which is quite good. After this place, if Ukraine continued the advancement, there is the residential area, basically lots of the settlements that construct the Horlivka city. This is a city indeed, it's not a town because it's very big. It's located on the northern part from Donetsk, and this vector is located between Bakhmut and Avdiivka. So I think that the main aim of Ukrainian offensive in this sector is to deflect the forces from the Russian army from Bakhmut as well as from Avdiivka. After all, we might state that Russians were not ready for this attack operation from the Ukrainian side. That's why we have the success for Ukraine. Is there any chance for Ukraine to propel directly to Horlivka from this place? I would say yes, if we use adequate number of resources, but we are quite limited in the number of resources. However, it could be the bigger strategy of Ukrainian army command, because we heard some rumors that Zelensky was planning the assault on Horlivka. We have it in the Times article about Zelensky and general strategy of Ukraine in this war. Zelensky wanted to attack Horlivka, but Ukrainian military army command said that Ukraine doesn't have resources, so probably Zelensky finally insisted to attack Horlivka to change the focus for the Russian army, because they want to encircle Avdiivka and they are getting ready for the third major jump, and probably they even could be successful in Avdiivka. So to counteract to that, to deflect the Russian army, we need one more strike. Probably this one could be successful. For me personally, it's hard to tell because I don't have the actual figures of Ukrainian resources, let's say. I don't see the real exact picture on the front lines, also from the enemy side. So obviously our Ukrainian generals, they know better than me. But from what I see, this mission is ongoing, and only time might show whether this attack on Horlivka is successful or not. More good news we have from Avdiivka, where Ukraine went on counterattack, also quite a successful one. Our guys eliminated the success of the Russian army across the railway. It would be awesome if Ukraine pushed them to their previous location, at least to this hill. Let me show you it also on the 3D map. So this is the counteroffensive of Ukrainian army. It's happening over here, and this is the hill that was previously taken by the Russian Federation. They moved a little forward from this hill, but not significantly. The last their movement was over here from this lake, so it's quite dramatic, because if they take this important crossroad over here, they may go into the industrial part of Avdiivka, which is critical for us. But they are not doing so. That is why Ukraine now has initiative on the north by pushing Russians out. It is great because for a long time Russia got initiative in this place. Yes, they wasted lots of their soldiers and vehicles, but at the same time were able to gain the ground. If Ukraine takes the ground back, all of this ground that was taken by the Russian Federation, it would just eliminate the reason for the Russian army to lose so many forces, completely demoralizing the remains of the Russian morale. So probably Ukraine found the place and the time to start the counterattack on the northern part from Avdiivka. The fighting is ongoing also near to Novomikhailivka. Unfortunately, here Russia moved quite a lot recently, taking the field and the part of the road. They were able even to cross this river, and they're close to Novomikhailivka. However, I expect much less advancement of the Russian army in this place, because I know that Ukraine has something to resist. We built the defense lines across the Novomikhailivka, so it's not the easy walk for the Russian army to go into this village. It's the same as Marinka. So if Russia wants to lose their army over here, and we're speaking about the 39th Separate Guard Motorized Rifle Brigade, obviously they will get rid of their forces in Novomikhailivka if they continue. Before, Ukraine gained some of the success around Novomikhailivka, but now Russians took some of the ground. About the Ukrainian landing operation across Kherson, well, so far we are in lack of the full picture. Yes, Russia sent reinforcements to fight in Krinky. Still, Ukraine, as it was reported yesterday, gained more ground in Krinky, but still we are out of the main reliable supply lines to feed our army on this shore. So it is early to say whether there will be the massive Ukrainian attack on this area. It is very risky and everybody knows it. This is the weather on the east right now. As you can see, snowy, slushy, and dirt roads turned just into dirt. This is Humvee. It completely stuck in this mud. And this is, I guess, MRAP or something like that. Muddy roads, so only vehicles equipped with caterpillars are able to cross this stuff right now. It means that it's not the time for the huge counteroffensive or offensive actions. That is why I expect the standstill situation on the front lines till the soil comes robust. The wet season in Ukraine, usually it starts the late October, but this year it started at the second half of November. I think that the big offensive operation of the Russian army near to Avdiivka will be postponed because of the weather. As we see from the drone videos, Russia already started to use the Chinese all-terrain vehicles on the front lines. This one is quite interesting. I'll share it on my Telegram channel because I cannot publish it over here. Well, I can explain. This vehicle pushed back and hit one of the Russian soldiers. All of that was filmed on this drone camera. So one Russian loss caused by this Chinese vehicle. Alright, here we may see the cluster munition operation from the Ukrainian side. It happened near to Avdiivka. That is how Ukraine was able to gain the ground back, by eliminating the Russian infantry forces and moving forward. Quite an interesting video was published by the Ukrainian GUR forces. Unique raiders were kaboomed in Kursk Oblast, the Russian Federation. It seems like Ukraine is using the bomber drones, the ones we used in Pskov attack. Then Russia lost 4 of the Ilyushin-76 airplanes and fuel depot. There is the new model of Ukrainian drone. It's called Backfire. It has several of the modifications with 1 engine and twin engine, the bigger variant, so it carries the photo cameras and able to send the data right in the flight. Those drones are usually performing this kind of the job, so they are flying around with their cameras, finding the Russian targets. This time it is the Russian command vehicle that was kaboomed with the help of the HIMARS. The Pentagon chief Lloyd Austin visited Kiev today. He said that Ukraine has the success in pushing Russians out of its territory. He recalled the last year that Ukraine was capable to free 50% of the previously captured territory by Russians. Yes, we all understand that this year is not that successful. That is why Ukraine needs more resources for the advancement. Lloyd Austin says that Ukraine gets the military equipment from Pentagon soon, and Ukraine will continue to push Russians out from its territory even during the winter campaign. Also, we have the positive signals from the Congress of the United States. They're aiming to get the military help for Israel and Ukraine till Christmas time, that would be awesome, because we need the remaining 2-3 months of the winter time and the bad weather to get the weaponry to be ready for the summer or spring campaign. After all, I expect that Israeli help will be voted separately from Ukrainian one. Still, I wonder about the sum of the military support of Ukraine and Israel. It is said that the next year is the election year in the United States, and not only. That's why many of the decisions are politically motivated, and politics, they do not have Gewissen, conscience. After all, they care only about themselves, their ratings, and that's it. They do not care about Ukraine. My opinion is that happily the interests of Ukraine fits the interests of many of the politics abroad. My friends, here I'm not speaking about the United States only. No, in Ukraine we have the same politics and maybe even worse. So hopefully they'll finally help Ukraine with more military support. Because American guys are fighting on the front lines, I posted the video on my Telegram channel of the Foreign Legion of Ukraine. They were sent to fight in the Bakhmut area. Meanwhile, Russia has the military supplies from our Western allies, if we speak about Czech Republic, and the helicopter parts that were delivered to Russia through Kazakhstan and China. So Russia uses some of the countries to bypass the international sanctions. Yet there is no robust mechanism to block the supplies of those parts to the Russian Federation. Andrzej Duda, the president of Poland, says that it's important to cause the defeat to the Russian Federation. I believe it's impossible to cause the classical defeat for Russia like it was in Berlin for the Nazi Germany, but the Western countries and global democracy might start the disintegration process inside the Russian Federation that would lead to formatting of the Russian Federation to a different state or a number of the states. If we won't do so, Andrzej Duda says that Russia will attack again, so they need time to repair their army, to get more men, more power. After it, they will repeat their attack in Ukraine and also outside Ukraine. Russia is the old-school empire state. It needs to take the ground to survive. Obviously, the disintegration process of the Russian Federation could be uncontrollable. That's why it scares many of the Western leaders. After all, when the Soviet Union started to collapse, there were many of the countries already in it with separate governments and ruling. For example, Ukrainian Social Republic or Uzbekistan Social Republic, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, whatever. After the Soviet Union collapsed, the leaders of those countries just became presidents, that's it. And even in that case, there were some of the conflicts. If we speak about the Russia itself as it is right now, Putin wants to unite it as much as possible. There are some of the separate governments in some of the republics, but they're very dependent on the power in Kremlin. Because of that, the disintegration or formatting process in Russia might be very bloody, but on my opinion it is imminent, and during our lives we're gonna see it, my friends, believe me. With his stupid war in Ukraine, Putin expedited all of those processes. Finland might totally close the border with Russia. For now, it closed the majority of the checkpoints across the border, not letting Russians inside their country. Awesome move. The article of Politica says that Western air defense turned Kiev into a rare safe spot in war-torn Ukraine. Yes, obviously Kiev is now much safer compared to the other cities. We have Patriot air defense systems. I think 2 of them are near to Kiev, but still Russia uses their Shahed drones. Kiev wasn't attacked, I think, for the last 4 months, but still the Kiev Oblast was. Once in a while there are several of the explosions around Kiev because it's very hard to target the Shahed drones, for example. By the way, Iran has presented one more kamikaze drone. It is Shahed 238, equipped not with a piston but with a jet engine. Well, the downside of it is obviously it reduces the range because jet engines consume lots of the fuel, but at the same time it flies with much faster speed. Yet there is no massive production of the Shahed 238 drones, but it might start very fast because Iran invests a lot into this technology. Also, we have the video of the pro-Iranian Houthis who captured this ship, the vessel I told you about in my latest video. So they landed the infantry special forces on board of the ship, and those forces went into the control room, taking this vessel under their control. One of the main crew members in the control room, probably even the captain, surrenders. I found the information about the ship. It belongs to the British owner. The crew is international and there are also Ukrainians, but not Israeli citizens. At least I wasn't able to find the information that Israel somehow connects to this ship. This is what I was able to find. The ship belongs to the British, who leased it to Japanese company. And the ship itself is registered in Bahamas because it's under Bahamas flag. It's been delivered to the Yemeni port of Hodeidah. What happens next to the ship, no one knows. Again, it shows the necessity of the armors to be on board of the ship. With a couple of the machine guns, the helicopter would never be landing on the ship. As you can see, there are some gangs around the world, well armed and supported by the countries of Axis, I call them. It's China, Russia, Iran and North Korea. An interesting operation was conducted by the Ukrainian Internal Defense Forces. A couple of Ukrainian warriors tried to sell the Russian equipment, including Kalashnikov and some of the explosives. The deal was filmed on the cameras and later on they were captured. I mean, two of the warriors were captured, so they might spend around 8 years in prison for illegal weaponry smuggling. Again, it shows that the internal police is able to control those cases. I mean, we have the war in Ukraine and obviously there would be such cases. Those cases are happening not just in Ukraine and not just during the wartime. Argentina has now the new president. His name is Javier Gerardo Milei Victoria Villarruel. People call him the Argentinian Trump because he is very extraordinary in his behavior. But actually this choice I think is quite good for the Western countries because this guy is against joining the BRICS community with China and Russia. He also wants to change the national currency to the United States dollar. And here is the guy in the office. Wow, that look. I wonder how he might win with this haircut. He's like coming from 70s or something like that, or maybe even before. The Elvis style do. He also wants to remove the influence of the state on the country's economy. So I think in general it's the good choice, but only time might show what happens in Argentina because this country was under many of the crises. Nevertheless, it still has the powerful economy and the big potential. After Brazil, I think Argentina has the biggest potential in Latin America. Meanwhile, Russian reporters or so-called military bloggers are showing them munition for the artillery shells. Those are the screenshots from the video. You may see many of the boxes lying around, and the color of the shells is kind of strange because usually they are green, but why are they this yellowish sandy color? Because they are coming from Iran. Before there was the information that Russia gets just missiles or rockets for their army plus the drones from Iran, but clearly now we see that also artillery shells were supplied to the Russian Federation from that country, not just from the North Korea. So we may say that dictators are really united. They supply lots of the shells to Russia and other tools. I wish we had the same support of the artillery shells to Ukrainian army from our allies, but it's really hard to negotiate. No one wants to take responsibility. There are always some of the complaints, some of the internal battles between politicians. Autocracies are playing the simple game. If the main guy says okay, they'll supply the weaponry. In the United States, if the main guy says okay, it doesn't mean that everything will work fine. Germany sent this helicopter to Ukraine. This is multifunctional BO-1054E modification. Awesome, probably it has even the anti-tank missiles. The E4 modification is the newest one, however the helicopter itself is kind of old, it was designed in 60s and will have just a single unit, but it's a good start. The Leopard 1A5 was spotted not just on the front lines but on its maintenance, not far away from the front lines, so you can see the engine maintenance, and this is the tank base somewhere in Ukraine. Ukraine is using the new tactics for its drone. Now the FPV drones are delivered to the front lines with the help of the bigger drones. To increase the range of the FPV, the special antennas are installed on the bigger drones to send or transmit the signal. Let's watch the video. So FPV drone just separated and flies towards the target. The range of it could be 15 kilometers from the mother drone. It's awesome. My friends, now don't forget to press the like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. Also, if you want to support my channel, you may find some of the links in the video description just below. Special thanks for my Patreon supporters and the sponsors of my channel. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.